Hello everyone, welcome to the Redmen TV. Liverpool have just been beaten by 2-0 by Everton at Anfield, first time since 1999. And I've got a feeling this isn't going to be a great show for these lads here because we get to rate them out of 10. And more specifically you do, and the Alison poll is open right now, so to get involved, just type !vote space the number out of 10 or 10 if you want to give someone a 10. I don't know why you'd want to give someone a 10, and press that enter key. Alison Becker then tonight. I don't think he can do much about the first goal, to be honest with you. Don't think he can do much about the penalty. Made a couple of good saves other than that. It was a 6 out of 10 performance, wasn't it, from Alison Becker? He looked all right on the ball, played some nice passes and stuff like that. Wasn't really helped out by the 10 lads in front of him, unfortunately, and he does indeed get a 6 out of 10. We'll open up the poll next then for Andy Robertson. I think this one will be... Oh, sorry, for Trent Alexander-Arnold. Apologies. We're opening the poll up for Trent Alexander-Arnold next. Yeah, he was our man of the match, wasn't he? To be quite honest with you. And I think he's probably the only lad there after that performance and after that result today that can actually leave the field with his head held high. And, you know, I know he gives away a penalty. I'm baffled as to why that was given as a penalty. And if it was given as a penalty, why isn't it a red card? He slid in, he doesn't get the ball, and then Calvert-Lewin goes over the top of him. Anyway, that's that. And we'll talk about that on the instant match reaction, obviously. As far as him with the ball at his feet, he was driving forward, he was playing those 1-2s with Mo Salah, and he was the only player that was looking like he gave a shit to me. And he was good. If Liverpool were going to make something happen, if Liverpool were ever going to score a goal, then it was going to come down the right-hand side and it was going to be Trent Alexander-Arnold. And, you know, for me, it was probably an 8 out of 10 performance, but I know how these things go on YouTube now, and I don't think he's going to get an 8 out of 10 personally. In fact, he gets a 7 out of 10, which is probably a little bit higher than I thought he was going to get. But he was definitely, for me, he was our man of the match anyway. We're going to open up the poll next then for Ozan Kabak. Difficult game for him again, of course. Liverpool don't deal with the ball well in the first few minutes. Comes from a throw-in. Kabak ends up heading the ball. Tiago ends up heading the ball. And basically, the ball from the corner, I think, ends up with James Rodriguez, who pulls the ball down. I think he's caught a little bit flat-footed. Richarlison runs in behind him, and he hits a good finish. And it's a deserved 1-0 lead at that point. And, you know, then he has a difficult time because Henderson gets injured early on. He moves over to left-sided centre-half. And the weaknesses from his first game became apparent again, didn't he? And his weakness, I suppose, is his pace. He doesn't look very fast at all, and you know he's going up against a quick lad in Richarlison, and when Dominic Calvert-Lewin comes on, he's quick as well. We saw that as him striding past Trent Alexander-Arnold before they get the penalty and stuff. But other than that, he was all right. He was okay. Like he gets a 5 out of 10. Probably about fair, to be honest with you. We're not going to do Henderson. I'll just quickly, while we open up the poll for Andy Robertson, we'll just say that like there's a lad who badly missed from midfield, isn't it? We've spoken about it for weeks now. You know, he has that one shot, doesn't he? That Pickford makes a great save from. To be fair, from the edge of the area to volley outside of the boot, absolutely brilliant. We'll do the poll for Andy Robertson regardless. A little bit disappointed that Robert wasn't able to get into the game as much as he did. I think, you know, he goes forward at the moment. It seems like the last few weeks in sort of fits and starts. Like he wasn't like Trent, who was just bombing on all the time. He had to be a little bit smarter with it, and he had to pick his opportunities. But I think from an attacking sense, he was all right. From a defensive sense, he was all right. I don't think he did anything particularly outstanding or particularly stupid, to be honest with you. And, you know, that for me would be around about a 6 out of 10 performance. I can see 5s coming in, loads of 6s coming in as well, which I think is probably about right. And just a few seconds left. I mean, that left-hand side's not working as well as it did do at the start of the season, certainly. But I do think there was more of an onus on Trent and attacking down that right-hand side. Anyway, he does get a 6 out of 10. I think that's about fair as well, to be honest with you. So we're going to open up the poll next for Gini Wijnaldum. And this was a game for me that passed Gini by. And, you know, I want to talk a little bit about the midfield because I want to talk about it on the instant match reaction as well. But I will say a few little things here. And Liverpool have played well recently. We've won the battle in the middle of the park. And I don't feel like we won the battle in the middle of the park today. I think Tom Davies had a really good game for them. Decore had a really good game for them. Andre Gomez was involved. Lots of fouls and stuff, but he was involved. And for me, we got beaten in the middle of the park, and you know, Liverpool have got a lot of problems at the moment, and I think we all recognise that and we all know that. But for me, the biggest priority right now is sorting the midfield out, because I think the midfield could help the defence by controlling games better, and not just with the ball at the feet, to be honest with you. And I think Gini Wijnaldum didn't do a great job today, and I'd have him around about a 5 out of 10. I just don't think he did enough to protect the back four at times. I don't think he did enough with the ball at his feet. But it's difficult to sort of judge, I suppose, for that. But anyway, he does get a 5 out of 10 with 40% of the votes. So we'll open up the poll next for Kurt Jones. I don't really understand the substitution, because I thought he was playing better than Tiago, and I thought he was showing that he understood the gravity of the game, and he understood how to get involved, and he was cropping up left and he was cropping up right, all the things that we've kind of come to expect from Kurt Jones over the last few weeks and last few months. And I don't know whether it's a tiredness thing, we're looking to protect him or something, but I think we were a little bit worse for him coming off, to be honest with you. And I think, you know, we put on a lot of sustained pressure second half when we came out. A good 10, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, where Liverpool was sort of attacking wave upon wave, and Everton did well. They defended really resolutely, and they made it difficult for us. But Kurt Jones, I mean, I've seen lots of votes coming in for 4s and stuff like that. I don't think it was a 4 out of 10 performance from Kurt. I think, you know, I'd have him up. I had Trent at an 8. I'd have had Kurt Jones at a 7 personally. Yeah, it's difficult though, isn't it? And with just a few seconds left, I can see that a 6 out of 10 has just won that with 35% of the votes. And yeah, I had Trent as an 8 and him as a 7, so 7 and a 6. That makes sense to me as we open up the vote next for Tiago. And I was disappointed with him today. He was heavily involved. I'm sure he had a lot of touches and a lot of passes and a lot of accurate passes, but there was a few really lapsed passes as well at the same time. And there's a few times I really wanted him to get on it and get forwards with the ball, and he wasn't really able to do that today. And I just don't think that game particularly suited him, if I'm honest with you. Say a few really lax passes, like even the passes that you would come up on the stat sheet as accurate, sometimes they were just behind the lad instead of in front of them, and he was running onto the ball. You know, I can think of one where he plays the ball out to Trent and it's 5 yards behind him, and it was a little bit like that for me from Tiago all day, to be honest with you. I just don't think he ever really hit his stride. And you know, I don't think we're seeing the best of Tiago right now, and obviously we've got concerns over the defence, and I don't think the midfield, particularly as a unit, is playing very well at the moment, and Tiago seems to be struggling. He certainly struggled today anyway, and I can see loads of votes coming in for 4 at the moment. 4s and 5s seem to be where it's at, and it's 5 is just won by, wow, 1 vote from 4 out of 10. So just about gets a 5 out of 10. And we'll open up the vote next then for Mo Salah. And Salah's an interesting one for me today, because obviously he has that one big opportunity where he's one-on-one and Shaqiri's played him in, and he played really well and linked up really well at times with Trent Alexander-Arnold. And you know, there was times when they were playing those 1-2s, and when one of them was moving, or maybe both of them were moving really fast, we picked up on this in comms, Liverpool were causing Lucas Digne major headaches. And Mo Salah gets in one-on-one, and it's a good save by Pickford. He gets out quickly, makes his body big, and Salah's not able to sort of lift it past him. But other than that, we're just not seeing enough in front of the goal from Mo Salah. I think for large portions of the first half, certainly, I was wondering what he was doing. Like, he just wasn't really that involved in the game. But second half, that sort of 20-minute spell that I mentioned before, from 45 to maybe 65, something like that, I thought that's when he did his best work. But ultimately, there was a bit of cut and thrust, but there was no end product there today. And Salah I had down as a 6 out of 10, and you guys have given him a 6 out of 10 as well. On the other side then, Sadio Marnie, I think there was moments where Mane was okay and decent, and you know, getting Holgate turned and running at them and stuff like that. But for the most part, again, kind of went a little bit missing. He has one big chance and he obviously misses that one, but I'm not sure, the big chance I think is one of the headers that he puts over the bar, and I think they're really difficult to classify as big chances because he's leaning backwards, he's not able to get the purchase on it or get any power into the header and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, he does well to get his head on the end of both of those crosses, I suppose, in the end, but yeah, again, something just seems to be missing. I don't think that left-hand side, as I mentioned before, worked or functioned quite as well as maybe Trent and Mo Salah did. I think I personally had him down as probably a 5 out of 10, but I'm a little bit down and I'm a little bit dejected at the moment with Liverpool and the form, and it was great to see us in the Champions League, but losing that record, and fair play to Everton, they were really good tonight. You know, there's loads and loads of talk about the penalty, obviously, and the fact that it shouldn't have been, but it didn't look like we were going to score either, so it would have just fizzled out and been a 1-0. Sadio does get in 5 out of 10 as well. So we're in agreement on that one. Bobby Firmino, for me, we'll open up the poll for him then next. And he's the most disappointing of all the players tonight, I think. You know, he has a couple of shots and one really good opportunity where he does really well to get through on goal, gets out of the way about 4 lads, and he just pulls the ball wide. He has another one where he just skies it over the bar, and he was shocking for me tonight. And, you know, I think of that one of those balls where Trent Alexander-Arnold fizzes it across the box, and I know this isn't Bobby Firmino's game, but a poacher, a striker is in there and anticipating that and trying to do everything they can to get on the end of it, and Bobby's nowhere near it. And you know, I think at times we do miss an out-and-out striker, although I know what Bobby can bring to this side when he's on form, but today it was just, he just wasn't on form. And we've seen too much of that over the last few weeks where Bobby's just kind of gone missing in games, and that's what we had tonight. I just don't think he was really, you know, when he was dropping deep, there was like 2 of them dropping deep at the same time, and there was no one in behind, and that was it. Like, but when he had the ball at his feet, I just don't think he was very good today, and I'd have him as a 4 out of 10 personally, and he does, he gets a 4 out of 10, and that's it. I think he was the weakest of all the Liverpool players tonight. We'll open up the next one for Nat Phillips then, and comes in. And it's a tough one because Kabak obviously moves to left side of centre half. Phillips sticks on the right of the 2 centre halves, and I don't think he really did anything wrong. Again, just like he hasn't really done anything wrong throughout this season when he's been called upon. And you know, questions over would you have used Davies and all that, and probably not for me. But Nat Phillips is there. He's a physical defender. He's good in the air. He wins his battles for the most part, almost every time. And you know, it was a decent-ish performance from Nat Phillips. And it's not his fault that Liverpool conceded the penalty, and it's not his fault, and he's not at fault for that. And it's not his fault, but he's not a ball-playing centre half. He is who he is, and he's a defender, and he's a decent defender. He's just not at the level, I think, where you want to challenge for titles. Bloody hell, when you're challenging for top 4. Although he's not doing anything wrong, I just don't think he's at that level where we need a ball-playing centre-half. But that's, you know, you've got to mark him on what he was able to do today. And I gave him a 6 out of 10. And see, you guys have given him a 6 out of 10 as well. And I think that's about fair. We'll open up the poll then, lastly, for Xherdan Shaqiri. We'll talk a little bit about Divock, of course, afterwards. Shaqiri comes on for Kurt Jones. I mentioned I didn't really understand the substitution. Didn't really understand why Jones was taken off and not Tiago in this game. But Shaqiri comes on, a few little bright sparks. You know, a couple of times he tried to pick out a nice ball to maybe Mane or Firmino running through on goal. He has that one where he almost takes the ball off Salah and then plays Salah in, and yeah, I think that was the big sort of chance that Liverpool had, and as soon as we missed that, I didn't really feel like we were going to score. But Shaqiri it was very much a 6 out of 10 kind of performance. We didn't get what we wanted to get out of him, and I think because of the early substitution, the Phillips for Hendo substitution, we weren't really able to try and change that game in any way. And you know, clearly Keita wasn't fancy. Clearly Shaqiri today was ahead of Keita in the pecking order. If he's fit enough to go on the bench, Keita maybe could have broken that defence open in a different way than what we were trying. I don't understand it personally, but anyway, Shaqiri probably gets a 6 out of 10. I can see that he's actually been given a 5 out of 10. I think that's a little bit harsh personally, but it is what it is. And then finally, Divock Origi. I mean, a final roll of the dice. I don't even know if he did anything, to be honest with you. I'm just going to give him an NA. But yeah, it's bitterly disappointing that. Because that's it. We're in pretty much the worst home form we've been in apparently for 98 years, and Everton have just beaten us at Anfield, and it feels like we are a long way away from being champions right now. And yeah, it's massively disappointing. Anyway, if you can stand to stay with us a little bit longer, we've got the instant match reaction. And Paul normally is able to put a smile on my face, so let's hope he can fucking do that tonight. He's got a job on his hands. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and you'll be ported over to the instant match reaction straight away, so I'll see you over there. Ta.
Thank you so much for watching the Redmen TV YouTube channel. Everything we do here is funded by our wonderful subscribers to the redmentv.com. Get over there, sign up and get amazing additional content, interviews, documentaries, mini-series, and of course additional pre and post match day content.